Okay, you guys. Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Jeneth. Welcome to the Happy Empires podcast. Today's guest is Jaclyn DiGregorio, and I love the Italian name, by the way. I found her online and really fell in love with her energy and her spirit and her authenticity and just her real raw approach to being all of her. So Jaclyn, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me and for that really sweet introduction.
Thank you. So just two quick announcements, you guys. Today we're going to talk about clarity and really getting clear on your vision and your dreams. I also want to remind you and tell you, if you haven't heard yet, the Happy Empires podcast is a new feed on Apple Podcasts, and we don't have any testimonials. Well, we have a couple now. So I wanted you guys to go rate and review, and if you give us a 5-star review and you cut and paste it and email it to me at jeneth@jeneth.com, we are going to send you my new digital book, Simple Marketing, and we will, and you'll get that cool bonus. And thank you so much for being a part of this clan. So, Jaclyn, welcome. Let's on with the show. I know you have a new book coming out, and I want to talk a little bit about it. But first, I want to know a little bit about your background and really, why focus on helping entrepreneurs get clear and in action. Why is that so near and dear to your heart?
Yeah, so my background goes back about 4 years now when I was a junior in college, and I was a marketing major actually, and I was looking for corporate marketing internships, and I felt like it was my dream. And I was so excited to finally land one of these big internships and kind of start my dream job. And I quickly realized that it wasn't actually my dream, and I was really dissatisfied with the lack of opportunity to really be a visionary and be in the driver's seat and come up with my own ideas and be innovative. And I quickly realized, I don't think corporate America is for me. And I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know, what I was supposed to create, where to start. I had never had any guidance on it. We didn't have entrepreneurship classes really in college, other than one class that I decided to take senior year after I had this realization. So I'm like, okay, well, the only thing I could think to start with was a product, because I figured, like Shark Tank, I watched Shark Tank, and those people are entrepreneurs and they make things. So I need to figure out something to make. And so really my story speeds up and has a lot of failures along the way. So my first product totally failed. I tried to build an app that failed. We had 3 versions of it, 3 different developers, spent tens of thousands of dollars, which I raised on Kickstarter to fund. So it was like lots of, and I could take the whole hour talking about this, so I want to cut to the chase a little bit, but it was lots of, the way I picture it is you're walking down this dark street, and I have a real visualization for me because I studied abroad in Florence, Italy, and my friends and I one weekend went to this lake that our professors told us about. So it wasn't like a touristy spot or anything. We rented an Airbnb, and at night there were no streetlights. And as like 5 young girls, we wanted to go out and see the town. So we were walking down these dark streets. And this is exactly what entrepreneurship felt like. The street's turning, and you can't even see it's turning. And there's this eerie sense of where am I going? What am I doing? It's fear. And that's how I felt 24/7. I was in a constant state of fear and lacking that clarity. Wow. And I realized that the only way I found clarity was just by continuing to have faith, continuing to have courage, and trusting that I would figure it out. And that's exactly what happened for me. But the only reason I was able to continue that is because I had a really great support system. I have the best parents who, from a young age, gave me that belief in myself. So I had confidence throughout my life. And of course, I've struggled and have insecurities just like everyone else. But I had such a great support system with my parents, with my fiance, with other female business owners that I connected with. But what I learned was that a lot of people don't have that. And they don't have someone to guide them, to help them craft this mindset, to help them create a plan, but know that if the plan isn't working the way they want it to, it's okay. You can update the plan. You can trust where you're being led. You can listen to your intuition, all these things that I just didn't know. And so after 4 years of struggle and pain and what really felt like the hardest thing I had ever done, I started to see everything fall into place. And when I tell people, oh, I 10x'd my income from 2018 to 2019, they're like, oh my God, so crazy. How'd you do that in 1 year? It's like, no, it was just the 4 years prior that finally came together. And so I want to help people be able to keep going even when they feel like they can't, be able to have someone to help guide them towards that clarity, to help them make those hard decisions of what they should say yes to, what they should say no to, when they should let go of things, and when they should stick it out. So that's how I got here. And it's been a really fun journey and a really hard journey. And I think it's a great example of what life is in general. There's ups and there's downs, and the downs are never going to go away. And that's why it's so important to have that clarity.
Well, that is the clarity. I think that people just don't even want to try anymore to fail to get the clarity for the next thing. So let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, I know for me that this failing thing is an ongoing thing. I've been an entrepreneur now for 15 years.
Wow.
And, and it's been quite the journey. We've had extraordinary projects that have grossed over $1 million at a point. And then we've had like a bunch of failures, and we're kind of like, okay, let's look at this and actually recalibrate, not just like the energy, but recalibrate like what were people really excited about, and really look at what draws them in. And that's what I found my failures really give me. What do you find that they really give you?
I think that the biggest thing is the lessons of what works and what doesn't, and what you're good at and what you're not good at. Because I think that we think as entrepreneurs, we have to be good at everything. Mm-hmm. And that's something like, as a perfectionist, as someone who's very type A, I was holding on to those things. I should say former perfectionist, because I've really let go of that. And I've thought about, what am I good at? What do I like doing? And how can I act in my zone of genius? And that's been hard and scary for me, because that led to hiring other people, getting help, which is scary for a number of reasons, both financially and also releasing that control. But I recognize that if other people can do things better than me because I failed at them, and they could be something that is really positive for our business, then I need to release that control. So that's one big thing from the failures. The other thing is patience and understanding that there's some big vision, right? And if you care about it so much, then you're willing to wait 15, 20, it doesn't matter how many years. Do I want it next year? Of course. I always want to be where I want to be, quicker, sooner, faster. But if you really care about it, like if the dream is so aligned in your heart with your purpose, then I think that with failure, you can learn that patience is so key to your success. And patience doesn't mean that you shouldn't make a plan and take action and work hard, but it means that if it's not going the way you want, how can you try something else? How can you keep going? How can you be so committed to this dream that you're going to get back up no matter how bad you've fallen? I think that's been a really good lesson for me. Yeah. I don't even care how bad the next failure is, because I know I'm going to get back up. There's no chance that I'll turn back.
I think that's pretty extraordinary in the way that you're saying it. You're just so mature about this. This is just, what I've found is we make 90-day notes, right? Every single 90 days, it's like in my calendar, and make this like cute little note for myself. And that's always a part of that bigger vision. So if it's 3 or 5 years out, like that is always there. And so instead of it having to be patience, I start to look at, well, let's just get my ass going, right?
Right. What can I do? Yeah, that's a whole other way to frame it, because I actually just posted on Instagram right before this call, life's too short to wait. And this is so important to me, because I get on a lot of calls with people who tell me about their dreams. They're so vivid. They have the clarity in their vision. They want to work from home. They want to spend more time with their kids. They want to write a book. They have this message they're so passionate about, whatever it is. They have a big dream in their heart that is very clear. And then I say, okay, let's do it. Let's get started. What are you waiting for?
Right.
Well, they're scared they're going to fail. They're scared this, that, the other thing. They have a million fears, and then they do nothing. And what they don't get is that every day they wait, it's pushing out the day that they're actually going to be living that vision another day. So do you want to live that when you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80? You're just pushing it, right? And then eventually what happens is they feel like it's not the right time and they blame that as their excuse. And then they feel like it's never the right time, so they never do it. And so like a big thing for me is just go after it, because you know it's going to take a long time because your dream is that big. And for people who don't have a dream that's that big, I challenge them, like, why not more? Because oftentimes it's fear.
Yeah. Well, and I've also found that with me and others, like once we reach the goal, then we're kind of like, yeah, well, now what? And we'll either go backwards and lollygag and do nothing, or they will recreate a bigger goal. And those are the people that, you know, really inspire me, because I've been the one that reached the big goal and then just kind of like traveled and played around and didn't really continue to grow my business, which I was at my heart of everything.
And, you know, I can personally relate to that too. And I think part of it is good. Like, we need to celebrate our goals. And I also think that not everyone's life dream needs to be like to make millions of dollars, travel the world. Like, maybe you just want to be the best stay-at-home mom you can be. And like, that's awesome. So I think that like, it's okay to achieve your goal, but always be wanting to improve in that goal. So how can you be even better? I think that there's this push when you have a real need. It's that burn your boats theory. If the boats aren't there, you have no choice. And that's what it was like for me this past year, because my fiance and I were saving for a down payment on a house. And I knew I need to make this much money within 4 months when we plan on buying this house, or we can't afford it. And that was like a fire under me. Like, I had to find a way. Whereas when you become a bit more comfortable financially in your business, it's like, okay, I could do better, but nothing really pushes you. And I just had this conversation with a client last week, because she said, you know, why is this happening to me? I got this last minute bill. All this stuff's coming up. We don't have enough money. Every previous month it was fine. I was fine at this income level. And I said, this is happening to you because you've been at that same income level for a year now. And nothing has pushed you to get to the next step. So sometimes like those things that feel horrible are sometimes just a kick in the butt in the right direction, because you might need a push. So sometimes we have to like authenticate that push. Like, I always ask myself, how can I burn my boats? Like, how can I, like, just because if you are the kind of person who feels like you're not motivated, which I think is a myth and a story we tell ourselves, but if you do tell yourself that story, how can you light a fire under you to go towards that goal and feel like there's no retreat, feel like there's no turning back?
I love your points, and I kind of want to take us like into those people that feel unmotivated, that feel stuck, that, you know, and it's like, you know, they're looking outside themselves often for motivation. What do you think that is that ask that they need to be asking themselves, that they would need to be pulling from within, that would really get them going and creating what they're really desiring?
Yeah, I think there's two parts to it. I think that part one is vision. So I really think for me, having a clear picture of where I want to go, and I'll share that because I'm very open about it. I think the more we share our vision, the more we're manifesting it, speaking it into existence. So my vision is to continue to grow as a motivational speaker, which is ironic we're saying motivation, and write a New York Times bestselling book, many New York Times bestselling books, and I just want to travel, speak, and write. And that's my big vision. And so whenever I feel unmotivated, and I want to put this in quotes, because when I talk about like gaining motivation, you can only gain motivation if you are rested and mentally taken care of. So if you have mental health issues, if you are not getting enough sleep on a nightly basis, you need to take care of that first. This is for a person who gets 8 hours sleep, does not have any mental health issues, and if they do, they are getting the help they need. And this is for you. Your baseline, you're doing well, but you just don't feel that push to maybe get out of bed at 5 a.m. to work on your dream before your job or whatever it is, right? Go to the gym because you really want to run a 5K, but you don't feel that desire. This is for you. So part one is vision. How clear is that vision? And I want to be really authentic about this and say that Sure, I sort of knew what I wanted for a long time. I had different ideas. I liked writing. I liked speaking. I like building wealth so that I can really be generous with my money for my family, for my community. I have a lot of charitable ideas that I want to, bring to life as I build wealth. And so those were all things in the back of my mind, but my vision was not clear for a long time. And I want you to know, if you're listening and you don't have a clear vision, it just takes time. And the clarity, as Marie Forleo says, comes from action, not thought. And so it took me about 4 years to really have this like laser sharp clarity. Things that have helped me find clarity are journaling, meditating, doing visualizations, surrounding myself with other people who are also driven, other visionaries, hearing their ideas, following people on social media that I look up to, but not comparing myself to them and trying to be them, but more so feeling inspired that if that's possible for them, it could be possible for me. So all of that helped me find a clear vision. And now that I have a clear vision, when my alarm goes off at 5 a.m, even though I don't want to get up, I think I can get up at 5 a.m. and I can travel the world and be a New York Times bestselling author. Do I want that? How bad do I want it? Right. And like, if you want it bad enough, and again, that you're well rested, you've taken care of yourself, you've done all the things, then you're going to get your butt up because the vision is so strong. Now, the other thing that I think holds people back from feeling motivated is fear. So I believe that courage is simply when your belief is stronger than your fear. And so I think that the fear never goes away. It's just impossible to shrink it down so much that it doesn't exist, because that's the way our brains are wired. We have an ego. The reptilian part of our brain protects us. And so it's only your brain trying to help you, but it's really hurting you more than it's helping you in many situations. Right. And so it's very normal to have fear. Everyone has fear, even like Bill Gates, Tony Robbins, some of the biggest idols in the world, they have fear still. But when people are motivated, their belief in themselves is stronger than their fear. So when we talk about that fear of failure, it's like, I do fear failing still, right? Like, I don't want to fail. I want the next thing I do to succeed, right? Like, I would be devastated if I fell super short on my goal for book sales, or I fell super short on my goal for a certain number of speeches in 2020. I would feel really sad and really down, right? I don't want to fail. But I know, as I mentioned earlier, that no matter how bad it is, I will find a way to get back up. It might be hard. It might take me, crying in bed for a week, feeling my feelings, not showering for 3 days. Like, it might be messy and ugly, but I'm going to find a way to get back up because I have enough belief in myself that I am capable. And for me, this is something that I mentioned earlier. It started in my childhood. And if it didn't start in your childhood, if you didn't grow up in an environment where you have people telling you that you were super capable, my dad's favorite saying to me every day as a little girl, and still to this day, Jaclyn, you can do anything you put your mind to. And so I genuinely believed that. I would try really crazy hard things, ran a marathon when I was in college, and all my friends were like, what are you doing? And I'm just like, I can do it. I just decided I can do it, and so I can, and I believe that. And so what that really taught me is that the brain's language is repetition, and there's a ton of science behind this. Right. And so if you don't have the belief, that's okay. You can build it. It might take time, years even. Think about affirmations that really resonate with you. Everyone's different, and so I don't like to give just one. I remember when I was running the marathon, my affirmation was simply one step in front of the other. And sometimes when I talk to women who have a lot of fears, I just ask them, okay, what is the first step? So for example, I have a client who's scared of public speaking, but she really wants to do it. So I'm like, okay, what's the first step? And she's like, well, I think that I could bring myself to speak in front of an audience that maybe I'm familiar with. So she ended up landing a speaking gig at the high school she went to, which is a great place to start. And then I'm going to ask her, what's the next step? So your affirmation literally might be, I just need to take the next step. It might be that your success is inevitable, that you are being guided if you're a spiritual person. Whatever resonates with you, you have to over and over and over again affirm that so that the belief can be stronger than the fear. And once you do that, you have motivation because the fear's there, but I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to find a way. I'm going to make a way. It might be hard. It might suck, but I am capable. And I think that that is where the motivation comes in, combined with the vision.
I think you're really spot on. I've spent the last 8 years in this like intense personal development. And at the end of the day, I was like, it's just a choice. Like I can choose to listen to this noise in my head that's telling me I'm not good enough and nobody's going to like it, or whatever self-judgment I want to put upon myself. But at the end of the day, it becomes me choosing what I'm creating here and what I'm creating my life to be, what I'm creating next. And it was like, when it just finally hit me in the head, like, yeah, we can have all this noise and these outside sources, but at the end of the day, it's just a choice. And flipping that switch at the beginning when you're not motivated becomes like an intense choice, right?
Right.
I mean, it's difficult because you're like laying in bed at 5 a.m. going, what the fuck am I doing? Who's going to want this? Nobody cares, or whatever the noise is, right? And then all of a sudden, if you can flip everything, then you become, no, I am a New York Times bestseller. I am, and all the mantras that go with it. And I think that, for me, that's always been the case, is really flipping the language and making the choice to know that I know.
Absolutely. And I also think like starting small can also help. Like I end up working with people in all areas of their life, just because like business transfers over to everything. And so, for example, with finances, I have clients who feel like they're not very financially responsible. So one of the affirmations we practice is, I am financially responsible. Now, how they become financially responsible and really feel that, it's not going to be saving 50% of their income tomorrow, because it's just unrealistic. And while I believe that anything is possible if you have the belief, it's very challenging to cultivate the belief overnight, but one way to cultivate it is to climb that ladder step by step. So starting with, okay, I'm not going to get up at 5 a.m. I'm going to get up 10 minutes earlier than I normally do. I'm not going to save 50%. I'm going to just save $100 a month. And how can you start there where you are? See it. Like, I freaking did this. I got up at 5:50 instead of 6. I saved $100 this month. What am I going to do next month? Next month, I'm going to get up at 5:30. I'm going to save $400, right? And it just builds. So I think that that's been really helpful, both for me and for a lot of the people I've worked with over the years.
Yeah. No, that's, it's so funny. Like, it's very, very simple at the end of the day. It's just a matter of taking the action, making the choices to choose that instead of what you are choosing. It's about destroying all your past stories and the stupid narrative that you live by. Well, tell us what's in your book. I know it's called Stop Getting in Your Own Way. So it came out just a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And tell us more about what's in it, what people can expect, and how it might change their life.
I'm so excited about this. So this book really is me sharing all of the bad habits and limiting beliefs that I gave up that changed my life. Because even though I've said, sure, I've had confidence in childhood, all these things, it sort of is not 100% true, because all humans have insecurities and fears and bad habits. And even growing up in a very loving, supportive household, I had a lot of messed up stories around money, had a lot of messed up stories around what I was good at and what I wasn't good at, because I thought that there was like, one way. And so each of the chapters is something that you need to stop doing in order to really build your dream life. And especially if you're an entrepreneur, your dream business. And the practices in there are really tangible. So I've read so many personal development and business books. I read a book a week. And I found certain things that have really changed my life, and specifically with the format of the book. So for example, books that have really tangible things that I felt like I could directly apply today. And it wasn't like I have to wait 10 years to implement that thing, or that thing's going to take hours and hours to implement. Just small, tangible things that change your life, small things. So I focused on at the end of every chapter, including those, so that people could really take things away in bite-sized pieces and apply them. And then the other thing that I think is really important is no fluff. I feel like I've read a lot of books where it's like, why is this 400 pages? I got to the point in chapter 3. And so I really made a point to make it interesting and fun and an easy read without all that additional fluff just to make the book 300 pages. It's like 150 maybe, something like that. So it's a quick and easy and really to the point read. And one of my clients told me that he reads personal development and business books all the time. He's also on the 1 a week path. And he said that this is in his top 3 favorite books of all time. So I'm really proud of some of the really good feedback we've gotten. So yeah, if you're an entrepreneur or you're someone who has big dreams, it's definitely a great book for you. There's ebook and paperback, and it's available on Amazon.
Great. And we'll put the link below this podcast so that you'll get access to it. That's funny.
Great.
It's funny. My first book was like, I didn't even hardly put any stories in it. It was just all like raw, like, here's what to do. It's about the dragons in your mind.
Oh, I
And
love
oh
that.
my gosh, it was so crazy. It was just channeled out of me in like, 30 days. It took 90 days to get it from like my head to paper to editor and it became an Amazon bestseller. I mean, it was
So quick.
weird and wild. Like, I literally left corporate and had an instant success. It didn't make me a lot of money, but it was an instant
Right.
success. And it gave me enough success to be like, I can do this. I think, failures are great because we learn and grow from them. And hopefully we don't get stuck in this like pattern of I only am a failure. But, I was super lucky because I had that instant success. It actually got me clients. And, on top of it was I literally had a business from this thing. And then after that, I was like, this isn't enough money. So I really started honing in on how do people do this online marketing thing and build authentic tribes. And so then that's kind of been my mastery for the last 10 years is really, how do we do it online and still make real connection?
I love that. I love that it was so quick because I truly believe, like, as much as there's this message, and when I share my story, I want people to know, like, it took me a long time. And so if it's taking you a long time, it's okay. At the same time, I also want people to know, like, it can happen quick and changes can happen overnight. And I really think that that is, for me, just a great example of being in alignment. And like, when you're in the flow and things like are coming to you naturally, you're attracting them because you're feeling good and you're showing up in your best self as who you're meant to be in this world. And that's why it's coming to you so quickly. So I love that. I think that's a great example for everyone. And I love your focus with online tribes because, I mean, most of my business is online, yet I feel like I have such deep connections with people and really am able to, through a lot of learning, build that authenticity and build that relationship and image, which is tough. It can feel so confusing and overwhelming.
Yeah, no, it's in a way I started like way back in the day where it was like internet marketing was like, what is that? And it was only about like direct response marketing, like get them on the list. And I met Marie Forleo in a class in 2013. And literally sat next to her. And then I've just watched her like grow so super fast. It's been, it's like, damn, this is like how fast these companies can grow when you really have that focus, that vision, and you're really courageous enough to, make it happen and make it happen in just a beautiful way.
That is so special. And I have chills thinking about that because like we all have that potential inside of us. Like she was just a normal person. And sometimes I think we can idolize these like sort of celebrities in the industry as, wow, I want to be just like her. She was just like you, learning in a class.
Yeah, she literally was. And she was struggling, although she had a lot of personal development and stuff before. So that, I think the head crap didn't really get in her way as much as it does the rest of us. And now I've been through that. So that personal development, like figure yourself out. So hopefully now I can go and just grow.
Yes. But I feel like we're always growing as human beings. Like it's inevitable. There's ups and downs. And that's something that was really hard for me to grasp. I remember one time, it's actually on our anniversary, my now fiance, but then boyfriend was telling me like, Jack, there's going to be ups and downs in life, but we're going to get through them together. And there's going to be hard times and happy times. And that was like his spiel to me. And I got so angry. I'm like, there's not going to be hard times. Why are you saying there's going to be downs? Like, you're so negative. And he's like, what? And this really weighed on me. Like, I'm like, why do people think there's going to be downs and bad times and hard times? And then it all clicked one day and I'm like, oh, wait. The bad times are exactly what we're asking for because it's teaching us on how to thrive in the good times. And it's inevitable in life because there are some things that are just out of our control, like health, things that we just can't well, I shouldn't say we can't control our health, but if a family member gets diagnosed with cancer or something that's like, I can't make it go away. And so having that realization both in life and business that like there are the hard times, so we're going to have to constantly grow no matter how much we've already grown, there's going to be more hard times. It's been really freeing because when they come, I just remind myself, okay, I just want to stay neutral. How can I react to this and not get so bogged down by the circumstances? I don't have to be happy. This is a sad thing that happened. This is horrible. How can I process my emotions and then get back to neutral? And so that's been a big step for me in personal development.
And I think that as you grow, you might also, like, everything that seems to be bad, you'll stop labeling it as bad and you'll start really seeing the gift in it, right? I mean, that was the evolution for me. Was I was like, so, you know, and I'll tell you off record, kind of the situation that happened, and I'll probably come on and tell them separately, but, you know, it seemed like horrendous, something that happened just recently. And I really got into how awful it was for, like, I don't know, 24 hours. And then it was like, there was this beauty and this gift. And, you know, I was like, wow, what a gift this is. And what an awareness this is for me. And it was just like, you know, angels were singing. I mean, it was weird.
Wow.
I think that's one of the first things in my life that I went from, this is awful, and why did I even have to see and be in this, experience this, to this is a great gift. And this is amazing, right?
That's an amazing transformation.
It was really, really cool, really cool. And, you know, I'm seeing more and more of that. So, you know, maybe this is the key for you and everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you.
To just start going,
so open.
I wonder, you know, I wonder what's really in the cards, and how can maybe this not be as awful as I think it is. So.
Yeah, I love that. I always try to remind myself that everything's happening for me, and think, what if this is happening because? And then I try to think of like a positive connotation. So like if I didn't get an opportunity I thought I wanted, what if this is happening because there's a better one that I wouldn't be able to do both, that's on the way? And beliefs like that kind of get me through the tough times, I think.
Yeah. So you guys, like I said, I mean, I am real raw all the way. So go ahead, and if you like this conversation, you do feel like you're getting in your way, make sure that you get Jaclyn's book. The link is below if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're watching on our webpage, the link is below. So thank you, Jaclyn. Thanks so much for being a part of the show.
Thanks so much for having me today. It was such a pleasure.